of all of Europe, the EU countries as we know it. So it's really in Central Europe. It was formerly built by the Soviets for as a armory for tanks and munitions. They were apparently preparing for an invasion of Western Europe, truly Armageddon, that never happened. It cost them $200 million to build this facility. It's back in the 70s, in the height of the Cold War. It's underneath a mountain. It's 400 feet below. The mountain is made out of limestone, so it was all dug out. There's 5 kilometers of chambers and tunnels. The chambers are typically 21 feet tall and about 20 feet wide. You can drive a tank or a truck, a military truck, through the entire facility. There's a number of entries, blast doors that are 50 tons, hydraulically operated, hermetically sealed doors behind that first set of doors. It's got its own power plant within the mountain and another one outside the mountain. It's got a number of deep water wells and water purifying and processing plants. This facility is so big, we just contracted for it. We're going to accommodate 1,600 people. And as I say, we may stock for 5 years on that one. That facility is going to have a hospital, a television station within, just to closed circuit communicate from one end to the other, because it's over a mile long. The length of this facility, it's just huge. And there'll be an inside tram that will move people around, an electric vehicle. Sleeping quarters for 1,600 very comfortably. There'll be a variety of restaurants and pubs. We're trying to do a European type brewery / wine cellar, so people are as comfortable as possible with all of the medical and security devices and provisions that would possibly be needed, as well as equipment for after the event when they come out. We have a great deal of farming equipment, heavy-duty equipment, and, of course, all the hybrid, non-hybrid seeds, and so on. Another thing we're even doing is we're storing DNA samples.
I was going to ask you about that. You said you had a DNA depository. What does that mean?
Well, it's pretty basic. We have medical freezers that will hold and maintain DNA samples provided to us from universities around the world. And so we're reaching out to universities for them to send us as many samples as they can.
Why?
And well, just to preserve it. I mean, kind of like the seed bank. If we have it, at least we've got it. What we're going to do with it later, what will technology be able to do with it, I don't know. But our cost to maintain these freezers is very, very little, and we think it's the right thing to do. And so it's just a matter of collecting the samples and having them deposited and maintained.
What kind of DNA are you looking for?
Everything. So from plant life to organic, or to various species on Earth that are living, everything we can find. I don't know of any DNA we want to exclude. Let's put it that way.
You make a distinction between survivalists and surviving, and you wrote a whole PDF on it that we can download. Make the distinction for us between what a survivalist is versus surviving. It seems obvious, but there's a whole mindset that makes them distinct.
Yeah, there is. It kind of became apparent to me when early on, about 2 years ago, we were reaching out to the survivalist communities and some of the websites, telling them about our project and the facilities that we either have or are building. And we received a hostile response. In fact, it was an alarming response. They're almost attacking us, and I just couldn't figure it out as to what's their motivation. Where are these guys coming from? We're right on the same wavelength, providing the same thing that they're trying to, and their mantra has been saying for years. And then what we realized was we were offending them. We were competitive and challenging to them. Most survivalists, and I'll describe what a survivalist It's a person who has his khaki clothes or his not khaki, but army fatigues. Has his guns. Maybe he's got an arsenal of a half dozen weapons. He has a armory of munitions. How many rounds, I don't know, but he might have 50,000 rounds in his garage or his cellar. He's got all of the various gear for surviving. He's got a hideout maybe in the mountains or somewhere that he's scoped out. Maybe he's got some preparations waiting for him there. He's got rice and beans and food supplies. And he's very covert and secretive. He's been training for this for years, reading all the books, belonging to all the blogs and the associations, maybe even having meetings and get-togethers with his fellow survivalists. Effectively, it's a religion to them. And where we offended them was we came along and said, wait a minute, we're not about survivalism, which, like I say, I believe is a religion at this point. We are survivors, meaning we only have one goal, and that's to survive, not to prove to anybody what a great shot we are and how clever we are with our planning. Those guys have been training and planning for 20 years in many cases, or their entire lives for whatever they envision will be coming. Our people don't have to train. All they have to do is open their checkbook and write a check for admission or an equity position in the closest Vivos to their home. So the housewife next door that has no knowledge of survivalism and has done no training is taken care of, and taken care of to a point that it exceeds whatever these survivalists are training for. So let me give you an example. You've got your rice and your beans and your hideout in the mountains. That's great for one thing and probably one thing only, and that's anarchy. In other words, you're away from society and you're able to defend yourself from society. But I don't believe their hideout in the mountains and the bag of rice is going to save them from a nuclear event, radiation, a super volcano that deposits X number of feet of new ash on top of them, or the great tsunami that comes from either an Earth tectonic change or an asteroid. I mean, what are you going to do? Shoot the asteroid out of the sky with your 30-06 or whatever you've got? So, survivalist and survivalism is a very limited scope of what we're talking about. We're well beyond that. We're looking for and we're providing for the true mega disaster that is going to be biblical if it ever happens, and if the prophecies are true.
Obviously, somewhere deep in your heart, in your being, you sense something, aside from the fact that you're a real estate developer who sees that we're at a time of great turbulence and change, where there's many things happening and change is happening fast all over the world, both with the earth and with people and systems. So on some level, you accept that something's going to happen. Otherwise, I don't believe that you would go through this. Am I projecting that, or is that true?
No, you're exactly right. And like I said, I've had this instinctive gut level feeling for 30 years, since 1980, when I was in my young 20s, and I wasn't in real estate. So, nor was I an advocate of anything, really. I was in the advertising business, and so it was a very strange feeling, and maybe it was a calling, I don't know. But yeah, my gut is so strong on the subject right now that I fear that we're in a race against time to get these things built, as many as we can, as fast as we can, before the events start to happen. Let me give you an example. You may have heard of the WebBot.
Yes.
Many have, and what the WebBot is a software of actually 70 different programs that were designed back in the 90s to look for trends for Wall Street. And what they found was they were seeing trends in society, and that people were using keywords in communications on the internet that they may not have realized they were using, and they found that if you connected those keywords, you could actually start to see predictions of the future.